Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Weber, and today we have a fellow Canadian, uh, Suzanne Marr. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
It's Mar, yes, correct.
Yes, Marr. Who's coming to us from Lake Muskoka, Ontario. And Suzanne has been active in the area of stopping and alerting the public and educating us as to chemtrails. So, welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much for having me on, Alfred. I really appreciate it.
So, please educate us more about chemtrails. They are like the scourge of our current era, along
They,
with HARP, along with other stuff.
yeah, they certainly are, and it's so multi-layered. You know, the agendas would take hours to discuss, but I think that the basic thing is we are all in very deep danger if these programs are not stopped. So I have really made it my mission, particularly in the past year, to educate people on geoengineering. So my activism has come in many forms, Alfred. I set up a Facebook forum. So my company's called Bye Bye Blue Sky. I'm a nonprofit organization. I've set up billboards. I've done print campaigns. I have hold house meetings. I've done farmers markets. So I've done basically a lot of various different methodologies in terms of outreach to speak to people. So I'm finding it's effective, and it's ruffling a few feathers because with respect to I actually put up an advertising campaign in the Toronto Transit subway in last November. So that was to stay up for approximately 4 weeks. It went up November 14th, was supposed to be taken down December 14th. So unbeknownst to me, Toronto Transit left it up, which was fine. I guess they do that sometimes if they want to elongate a contract, or if someone isn't ready to put their advertising up. So mine was up, and it got a lot of attention. So what had happened was I received a registered letter from Advertising Standards Canada dated December 18th. So this was 4 days after my contract officially expired, stating that a complaint had been issued against me regarding my campaign by a company called the Center for Inquiry. The individual is not listed on their management team. I could only find her listed on their annual report. So this organization states on their website that they're a nonprofit, science-based, secular organization encouraging skepticism and free inquiry. So they felt I was contravening codes, accuracy and clarity, and superstitions and fears. So what's interesting is their human mandate states they stand on the principle that no belief, no matter how strong or deeply held, should trump basic human rights of free speech, free expression, and free inquiry. So my first question to Advertising Standards Canada is, how is Centre for Inquiry promoting one ideology, yet their actions suggest a much different objective? Promoting free speech, yet trying to curtail it at the same time. So my ad was very clear, Alfred. It was very accurate. I pulled no punches. It said, "You are being sprayed with chemtrails. Stop geoengineering."
And,
And
and, and, and so this ad was in the Toronto subways.
that's correct.
Yeah,
It was.
and
Mhm.
by the way, I should say that we have had to migrate from Zoom because of the audio interference.
Mhm.
There is maximal audio interference with our Skype broadcast here. I can hear it on my earphones. And that is because of the interference of the chemtrails controllers. This has nothing to do with our audio equipment. And those who want to hear the truth should just try to block out the audio interference, because this is a real breakthrough news story. This is where someone like yourself, a member of the public, has gotten anti-chemtrails advertising on the Toronto subway system, and there's been a complaint, and it's been ordered to be taken down. Have I gotten the story correctly?
That's exactly correct. And so Advertising Standards Canada had sent me this letter, and they asked me to respond to this complaint, which I did, wherein I cited many sources to corroborate that this is in fact happening. I don't even think this is debatable at this stage that this is going on. You only have to have eyes and a brain and a pair of lungs and look up. You know, it's pretty obvious. So I was informed by Advertising Standards that the matter would be adjudicated at their next meeting, and so I should provide any further information to assist in their evaluation. With respect to the response, Alfred, I asked them why Canadian rights and freedoms appear to be less than the United States, because there are many, many billboards in the United States advertising the subject of geoengineering, and so I sent them a good half dozen to show them. So Council met on February 10th, 2015 to discuss my complaint. In their letter to me, they indicated they looked to Canadian authorities since the advertising was being displayed in Canada. So they felt that the U.S. advertising had no merit. So basically, they based their decision on statements from the Minister of Environment in Ontario, who states that there are no materials being dispersed within any contrails other than water vapor and the regular byproducts of human combustion. The Minister of Health, who stated the department has no knowledge of any activity which could lead to so-called chemtrails. And the Minister of Transport, who stated there is no evidence to support the theory of chemtrails. So Advertising Standards concluded that the claims in my advertisement were not supported by authoritative scientific evidence, contrary to codes 1 and 11 of the code based on these statements. So I did not remove my advertising prior to the adjudication on February the 10th, 2015. Advertising Standards indicated that because the advertising was not permanently withdrawn or appropriately amended as required under the code before Council met to adjudicate the complaint, I would now be identified in the summary of this case and would be reported by Advertising Standards Canada in an upcoming online ad complaints report on their website. So I appealed this decision, and I could only do so after confirming that this advertising would be taken down, which I did with Toronto Transit. I sent Advertising Standards Canada a 7-page appeal letter via email on March the 2nd. They have subsequently confirmed they have received this document and would also view the documentary lookup that I also sent to them. I also sent 2 tickets to Alana Freeland, who myself and Conspiracy Culture are hosting in Toronto. Who knows if they'll attend, but I sent them to them. I reached out to Advertising Standards Canada yesterday as I'd heard no response. They said that they will be meeting this week. I will be receiving a reply via a letter, so correspondence. So I would really like your opinion, and I feel there's also a correlation here to something else, Alfred, because I feel like I was not violating the code. I mean, geoengineering is conclusively happening. They did not do their homework. They did not educate themselves about the topic, but rather simply took a government official word at face value and negated proven factual information at hand, such as patents, Department of Defense manuals, millions of photos, literature, documentaries, etc. Question for you too is Advertising Standards Canada, for me, violated the Canadian Bill of Rights, Section 1, which is the right of individual to life, liberty, security of the person, enjoyment of property, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except by due process of law, the right of the individual to equality before the law, the protection of the law, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. So there was no due process of law here. There was a restraint on the very liberties these Canadian statutes were built upon, as far as I'm concerned. And Advertising Standards Canada's code, I don't believe, overrides the Canadian Bill of Rights. So Center of Inquiry seemed to violate their own very own human rights mandate, which states we stand on the principle that no belief, no matter how strong or deeply held, should trump basic human rights to free speech, free expression, and free inquiry. So I asked Advertising Standards Canada, what is the validity of this complaint when CFI are clearly violating their own human rights mandate? Moreover, my contract expired prior to the letter of complaint being issued on December 18, 2014. Does the complaint still have merit? I'm not sure. To also give a little bit more context and perspective to Advertising Standard Canada's removing my advertising in their blind spots, I myself, Alfred, also issued a complaint against a geoengineering company advertising in the Calgary airport. At the same time, I received a complaint against myself. What a great spot to condition minds to unsafe, covert spraying of the planet. The company I issued the complaint against is APEGA, which is the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Alberta. Their ad states, proudly brought to you by professionals in engineering and geoscience. Their ad is a depiction of an airplane inside a pair of human hands configured into a triangle dispersing chemical contrails. I indicated that they contravened 4 Advertising Standards Canada's codes, which is Code 2, Disguised Advertising Techniques, which is indoctrination of the public to accept geoengineering, and they're humanizing it with the symbolic hands configured into the ritual triangle. It's a bait and switch. This ad is attempting to legitimize a harmful practice of chemical spraying using nebulous, nondescript text rather than a precise description, edifying exactly what the practice is. The safety, this ad it's code 10, I feel they're contravening. The ad clearly depicts that the geoengineering is safe for the earth, the ecosystems, and the people.
Sorry.
No problem. Again, their ad states, proudly brought to you by professionals in engineering and geoscience. The schemes and methods of geoengineering are a direct contradiction to APEGA's rules of conduct. Their rules of conduct are professional engineers and geoscientists shall, in areas of practice, hold paramount the health, the safety, and the welfare of the public and have regard for the environment. Code 14 is unacceptable depictions and portrayals. The ad is condoning and exploiting the unregulated practice of spraying nanometals into our environment, damaging all living beings and ecosystems. The ad undermines human dignity and displays an obvious indifference to the treacherous and toxic effects of geoengineering on plants, on animals, and our atmosphere, which is the lungs of our planet. So I issued this complaint to Canadian Advertising Standards. They responded to my complaint and indicated the advertisement conveyed the message that airplanes and the ability to fly are possible as the result and work of professional engineers and geoscientists. This was not an ad about geoengineering. I responded to Advertising Standards Canada and told them APEGA is a geoengineering firm, and the term geoengineering is directly under the umbrella term geoscience. Geoscience is the sciences as geology, geophysics, and geochemistry, dealing with the earth. Engineering and geoscience are geoengineering. APEGA state that they regulate the practices of engineering and geoscience in Alberta, and this is their statement. Moreover, APEGA conducts and hosts geoengineering conferences. One such conference was with prominent geoengineer David Keith, who incidentally also of Calgary, at Technology and Climate Change Conference, February 17, 2005. David Keith speaks of 2 geoengineering methods, solar radiation management and carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere at this APEGA-hosted conference. This ad is about geoengineering, engineering of our planet, and not about the ability to fly planes. And moreover, the contents being explicitly released from the jet in the ad are not contrails, nor are they water vapor. If it was about the ability to have planes fly, I suggested to Advertising Standards Canada that they would be highlighting their aviation expertise, not cryptic messages and planes emitting chemicals within human hands. And nor would they be hosting, climate conferences with prominent advocates such as David Keith, a geoengineer. I mean, they are not an aviation firm. So their response to this letter was, they contacted APEGA for further information, and they were told that APEGA is a self-regulatory organization that licenses engineers and geoscientists, establishes practice standards, and investigates complaints about its members. It does not engage in commercial activities. I found this statement interesting because APEGA evaded the whole issue and context of my complaint and their blatant advertising of geoengineering in the Calgary airport. I mean, who really knows how Advertising Standards Canada broached my complaint with them, but they were seemingly very satisfied with APEGA's blanket response. And if APEGA does not engage in commercial activities, why are they advertising in an airport? Advertising is a form of marketing and communications used to persuade an audience to take some kind of action, usually with respect to a commercial offering or ideological or political support. So in this case, it was conditioning an audience to accept geoengineering as a benevolent practice by their advertising techniques. So once again, we see Advertising Standard Canada not researching the topic at hand, but taking a company's word at face value and seemingly exhibiting very biased decision-making. Advertising Standards also mentions that the ad in the Calgary airport was one of several executions running in Alberta with the ritual triangle. One depicts an elevator with fingers forming the APEGA triangle logo superimposed over an elevator button. Another depicts an MRI machine, again with the fingers in the shape of a triangle logo superimposed over part of the machine. They indicated the advertiser's intention with this campaign is to show how everyday aspects of life are made possible because of the contribution of APEGA members. So what exactly are the everyday aspects of life that APEGA was attempting to highlight on their advertising that are made possible by the contributions of APEGA's members? With an advertising of a plane spraying chemical trails in the Alberta airport, this was not clarified by either company. These two complaints clearly show the bias and the lack of research done to form conclusions on the merits of individual advertising. I mean, me, the advertiser, was told to take my geoengineering advertising down because it lacked clarity. And APEGA, a geoengineering firm, has been given the green light to continue to advertise in the Calgary airport because of their disguised advertising techniques. So it's very ironic to me. I encourage everybody to let Advertising Standards Canada know, to let Senator Inquiry know, to let APEGA know that they are not okay with this decision. The unprofessional complaints process against my advertising and the disingenuous advertising from APEGA. Advertising Standards decision is based on conjecture and words, parroting a very familiar party line and no research. They need to do their homework and they need to do due diligence. Otherwise, the organization has no value, nor does their doublespeak. They are promulgating false advertising such as APEGA and condemning ethical advertising such as my own. So for me, Alfred, I feel if I can win this appeal, it will set a precedent and will show all Canadians and people around the world that we have inalienable rights to exercise and tell the truth about crimes against humanity that are being perpetrated against us by the very officials that are supposed to be protecting us. So in whatever honest and ethical manner we see fit, we should be allowed to advertise. So pending my, given Advertising Standards pending response this week, I would appreciate any, suggestions you could give me on how to take this forward.
Sure. Now you're in both of these cases, and I know that there is a terrible echo here. This is entirely anomalous, and it does not have to do with our equipment. This is the result of outside interference, and it's meant to interfere with the audibility and with the communication of this public broadcast, and so that the listeners will focus more on the sabotage than they will on the content. So, having said that, you're appealing from two decisions of Advertising Standards Canada, one regarding the subways and one regarding the Calgary airport. Is that correct?
Is correct, yes.
And your appeal is to whom?
My appeal is to Advertising Standards Canada, who is located in Toronto.
Oh, right. But
Yeah.
so, but you're appealing. Whose decision took the advertising down?
Yes, I'm appealing the decision from Advertising Standards Canada to remove it based on the complaint of Centre of Inquiry, who
Oh,
also in Toronto.
Center of Inquiry. So you're appealing to Advertising Standards Canada from the complaint of Center of Inquiry.
Yes, based on the complaint from Centre for Inquiry, who is they say they're a non-profit secularist
Right,
engaged in.
right.
Yeah.
But Advertising Standards Canada has already acted to take down your advertising, correct? To direct you to
Yes.
take down the advertising. And so what would made you think that they would change their minds?
I feel that my appeal, actually, I think it's because they so obvious for me, you know, violated their own codes. I mean, what about the Canadian Bill of Rights? How can they
Right.
make me take down something? And also the fact that this company, Center for Inquiry, was violating their own human rights mandate. Uh,
Sure.
hmm,
Sure. Now, is Advertising Standards Canada, is that a an organ of the government of Canada?
I'm sorry, you just cut out there on me.
Yeah, is Advertising Standards Canada an organ of the government of Canada?
I believe there are some branch, some offshoot of the government. Yeah.
Right. So that you would then have an appeal under administrative appeals to a court, perhaps even uh, you would be able to appeal in federal court,
Okay.
and you would be able to represent yourself in federal court.
Okay.
Because it seems to me unlikely that Advertising Canada is going to overturn its own decision. I mean, I'm just being brutally
Hmm.
realistic. But the work that you did is going to serve you well because it's called error on appeal.
Error on appeal.
Yeah, that is, we're going to see what what their we're going to see what the decision of your appeal to Advertising Standards Canada is going to be. If
Hmm.
Advertising Standards Canada fails to rule in your favor, they will have made a number of errors
Hmm.
based on the grounds that you have raised so far.
Yeah.
And therefore, you will have grounds to appeal under administrative law and other grounds to federal court,
Okay.
to federal court of Canada, I would believe. But you would have to double check that, and you would be able to represent yourself in federal court of Canada.
Okay.
That
Well,
that
I would think the thing is they really don't want to draw attention to this. I mean, this
Oh,
is.
no, right, because uh, this is part of the secret depopulation plan,
Mhm.
and that's why we're getting all of this audio interference right now, because uh, everything in Canada is more censored than in the United States, uh, in the sense that they want everything kept totally quiet in Canada, and that is why the Canadians are just a very docile, very uninformed public. And the plan is to annex Canada as into the North American Union, but to continue the depopulation plan in terms of radiation, in terms of chemtrails, in terms of HARP,
Yes.
in terms of the Fukushima, uh, in terms of the Fukushima radiation, because the Fukushima radiation just this week it is in the Pacific Ocean reaching the west coast here in Canada. That Fukushima that Fukushima that Fukushima radiation is now being felt full force here in the Pacific Ocean in Western Canada. And the Canadian government has shut down all of the radiation monitoring here as per their war crimes cooperation in the globalist depopulation plan. And people can go to ecologynews.com and see all of our interviews with independent scientists, Loren Murray, and others that confirm all of that.
Dangerous times, Alfred.
Yeah. So my advice to you would be to continue with your uh, with your um, with your appeals. We're going to be publicizing all of your ads. We have copies of them from you, correct?
Yes.
And we'll be including them in the articles and showing how there are both compromised private organizations like the Center for Inquiry and compromised government organizations of the Government of Canada that are participating in the global depopulation plan of the globalists. Now, we have about 4 minutes left in this segment. Do you want to tell people how they can find out more about what you do and how they can get in contact with you? Do you have a website, or do you have email, or some place where people can access and support your work?
Yes, I've got a Facebook forum I entitled Bye Bye Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is welcome to join that. I am just in the process of getting a website up as well, Alfred, under the same name. So it'll be byebyebluesky.com. I do have a host. I just have to get the information uploaded. So that's in the works. So yeah, I'm hosting events. I work with Conspiracy Culture of Toronto. I will continue doing my outreach. I'm asking for funding. Actually, right now I've got a GoFunding on. I have a billboard up here in Lake Muskoka. I'm looking to get a second one up very shortly. So I've got a GoFundMe on a second billboard here. And yeah, just please join my forum and get active and get involved, and power in numbers. And there is certainly an increase in people awakening to these crimes. So this is a positive thing, but I think time is short, and with these climate meetings coming up, particularly the one in December, where they're probably going to try and legitimize and legalize geoengineering under the guise of climate change. So we really have to make some noise and let the lawmakers know we're not okay with this. So
now, where is this meeting? Could you spell that out? The name and the location of the meeting.
This actually, Alfred, will be in Paris. It is it's spearheaded by the United Nations, of course, and it will be held from November the 29th to December the 11th. So there's a big group of us hoping to attend this meeting, and right now we're just speaking about it in terms of organization. It looks like we're going to get some good subgroups together, and so we can really mobilize in different areas. We're going to have a legal section and people handing out brochures, people going into the meeting. So this is actually a really critical stage, because this could very well usher in Agenda 21 and the New World Order, really, if in global governance, if these programs are legitimized. So as many people as possible need to attend this meeting, the European activists as well. So,
well, we certainly want to thank you for your work, and thank you for coming on today. And we look forward to you joining us again in the future as events develop.
thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. I mean, you have a really far-reaching audience, and deep respect for your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
you, Alfred. Bye.
Bye.